Welcome to the challenge round. Here's the breakdown. The first competitor, standing 5 feet 7 inches, weighing 237 pounds, Andreas Munzer. And his opponent, standing 5 feet 5 inches, weighing 186 pounds, Sherman. And we begin this 1990s matchup with the front relaxed, of course. Neither of these two gentlemen was impressing me at all with this position of the front relaxed. I guess I'm going to lean on the side of Sherman. I guess his waist is a lot smaller than Andreas's. But then look at his narrow shoulders. It really takes down his aesthetics. But neither of these men, like I said, are impressing me. So we're going to hand Sherman a point and head on into the first pose. And wow, what can I say, ladies and gentlemen? I quit. That's it. I quit. Andreas Munzer is one of my favorite bodybuilders. He's awesome. I love Andreas Munzer. And I've never heard of Sherman. Maybe once or twice a long time ago, but... And he's destroying Andreas Munzer. If he loses, I quit. Mark's Max Muscle is shutting her down. But it's not over yet. Let's award Sherman this well-deserved point. And head on into the next pose. You're in the front lat spread. And what are you saying now, Sherman? What are you saying now? You're not saying nothing because Andreas Munzer's blasting, and I mean blasting right through you. Just like a laser beam. I'm so glad Andreas Munzer's finally displaying himself how I remember him. And that's a dominant force on this bodybuilding stage. And not to be shown up by this no-name, this nobody, Sherman. I will say, he has a pretty impressive front lat spread, to say the least, but he's not touching my buddy Andreas. Not even close. So, at this time, let's head into the following pose. It looks like it is, in fact, side tricep time, but there will be no singing or rapping, because I'm handing Sherman another point, and it looks very, very bad for Andreas Munzer. So I'm a little depressed at this time. I will say 9 times out of 10, I go for the guy with the best side, like the actual tricep alone. And Andreas is winning on that department. But if you'll remember, I usually deduct points for not hitting this shot properly. So I have to be true to myself in this matchup more than any other challenge round. Andreas being one of my favorites. Sherman, really just hearing about him. He's a decent bodybuilder, but I really have a hard time liking any bodybuilders that I just heard of. But anyway, next pose. Oh, boy. Sherman gets another one. Turn around, rear double-double. Let's go. Here in the rear double bicep pose, and it looks like it's a first for the challenge round. This is the very first ever actual comparison. So the only difference is here we have the exact same lighting, and everything's identical for each other with the conditions and everything like that. So it's unbelievable. I wish we had this all the time, but of course it's impossible to get both guys at their peak. But here, both guys are at their salad days, so it's an excellent comparison. And why I sound a little excited, perhaps, is because Andreas Munzer is taking a point. Finally. Anyway, at least he's boxing now. I don't know if he has enough to come back with the win, but geez Louise, I sure hope so. Anyway, let's have these two gentlemen display their rear lat flaps, otherwise known as the rear lat spread. And I must say, Sherman looks fantastic. He has a lot of thickness and meat development back there to do battle against Andreas. But I must say, Andreas he's wider. He's got a little bit less water, I think. He's in a little bit better condition here in the lower back region. And in the arms and that things of that nature, I think he is scoring ahead. And when I look at the glutes and hamstring, there's no doubt that Andreas Munzer slips in a victory. But anyway, at this time, I'll have these two gentlemen turn around and blast a most muscular pose. I had a little bit of a tough time to get the sizes of these two guys to scale with this one. Andreas is a much larger man, but he's bent over, so I didn't really know how big to make him. But it doesn't really matter. Look at the difference of these guys. It's like comparing sausages and steaks. Andreas being the steak, like an old $2 steak, or a 50-cent steak. One that's tough and just ripped. Look at Andreas. There's just no way on heaven and earth that John Sherman is ever getting a victory on Andreas Munzer here in the most muscular. Andreas Munzer is most muscular. He looks like some sort of a creature from outer space. Decent. Anyway, let's have a look at the last pose. Here in the ab and thigh, and I must say right away, in the ab development alone, I will give John Sherman a slight edge. Andreas Munzer, not a very well-developed six-pack per se. Doesn't have a very prominent set of abs. If you'll notice, if you have a large screen here, you can see there's some sort of a wrinkly skin at the bottom of John Sherman's abs. Now, I'm not dogging this poor man. He was perhaps obese at one time. But I mean, this is a very cruel sport. And it's bodybuilding, and it's unsightly. You're going to lose points. But even with that, I still think John Sherman has a slight edge in the ab development. This is the last and deciding pose, so I'm really going to break it down. We're giving it to Andreas Munzer because of the thigh. Yes, Sherman is winning slightly on the abs, and I do say slightly. But Andreas is destroying him in the thigh department. So having said that, ladies and gentlemen, here is the winner of this challenge round, Andreas Munzer. Andreas Munzer will now await the challenge of another challenge round winner to do battle in the gladiator round.